Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. 7, 6, commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2, check ignition, and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can.
Today because how hey Brian, no, it's not over.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Veronica Bartolini with Unchained Hearts, and that song that was played for me made me cry. It was a surprise for me, so I thank you, Odin. And well, I have two beautiful guests on today. I'm so excited. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to have my my personal 2-hour show every Tuesday here with Global Enlightenment Radio Network. Thank you, everyone. And my first guest is Penny Bradley. And my second guest is Eric Hecker. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. I'm jazzed to be on your first show.
Me
Thanks
too.
for-
I had no idea it was your first show technically, so I'm really jazzed about that too.
Yes, and I appreciate you both having me on your guys' show. That was fun.
Got it. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to go off camera real quick. You can listen to me so that I can read Penny Bradley's bio, because unfortunately my laptop I can't use it only to go live on my regular YouTube channel. So I'll be right back, but you can listen to me, okay? All right. Thank you.
You got it. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, here we go. I don't have my glasses on, so wish me luck.
Good luck.
Thank you. Penny Bradley. Oh, I found my glasses.
Oh, good.
That was the good luck.
Yes.
Totally. Okay, Penny Bradley was kidnapped by the CIA at age 4, 1959. Mind fractured, taken to Montauk, 1962. And then the alters were given basic training. This took about 5 years. At age 9, 1964, she was taken to Mars through the Long Island, New York jump room to Ares Prima. That was then the main base of the breakaway German group on Mars. She went to Shul on Mars.
Shula.
I knew it. I was going to say Shula, like Chula. I knew I was going to say that. She went to Shula on Mars, then served in the German militia as a fighter pilot until the end of the Mars War. In 1990, she was transferred to Nachwaffen, the breakaway German military in space. She served as navigator on a fighter ship until 2014, when she was age regressed and time traveled back to when she was taken. This is just the story of the first 31 altars she has reintegrated through Native American shamanic soul fragmented retrieval. Thanks for listening. I will go back on camera now. And I know, Penny, I think you have like a little more altars, right?
My understanding is that they did a 13 by 13 by 13 cubic hierarchical array, just like you would do in a computer, that they set them up with partitions, and that each partition is an altar and a person trained to do specific things. So that when you do the math, that comes up to just shy of 2,200.
That's a lot.
And I've reintegrated 31 of them, which is like a drop in the bucket.
So now, before we get started, because we have like a lot to talk about, and I'll introduce what we're going to talk about.
You need to introduce Eric too.
Yes, that's what I'm going to say. That's what I was about to say. So Eric Hecker, that I know of, I don't have his bio, sorry.
It's all good.
You served in the Navy, and you worked for NASA.
No, I did not work for NASA technically.
You were in the military, right?
I was in the military.
Yes.
I was in the Navy for a little bit in submarines, but I never officially worked for NASA. So I just don't want that out there because it wouldn't be true. That's all.
Okay. So it was. Do you think it was part of the Monroe Stargate program?
Oh, absolutely. I have history with that as well, for sure. And if it turns out that has connections to NASA, then so be it. But I can't. In the deciphering of my experience, I've yet to make that connection.
Yes, when I think about Eric, I think about Interstellar. I love that movie. When they go into the opening, and that's all I know about Eric. But I'll let him speak. But every time I've seen the movie about 11 times, and every time I see it, it gets to me. The thing that I learned was that the first time I ever saw it, was that unconditional love surpasses all dimensions. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can talk to my dad. This was my before my awakening. And so when they go and into the room and they say, Anne Hathaway, she's like, we're NASA, and I'm like, oh, Eric. I think about Eric too. I think about, all of us that have been in the certain programs.
I've
And
definitely been in weird programs, but never officially associated to NASA. And I'm happy to hear that you were thinking about me with that movie, because I saw the movie once, like when it first made it to DVD. And I remember liking the movie, but that was a long time ago. And recently it keeps popping up on my radar, so much so that I'm like, I really need to watch this movie again, because it's like it's constantly in my face right now. And there's so much stuff. So it's like, here it is again, another synchronicity. So now I really have to watch this movie again.
Well, now I'm going to have to watch it because I haven't.
Oh, it is an excellent movie.
Ooh.
I remember really appreciating it. There were folks that I remember stating that the black hole as presented in the movie, they said, is probably one of the best cinematographic displays of what a black hole would really look like if you came up to one.
Yes, and when he's in the fifth element, we'll call it that. He keeps saying they chose me, and they meaning the ETs. So it's neat when she goes through the black hole and says, oh, Anne Hathaway, she's like, oh, she just made contact with that was her first contact. So Penny, I think I'm not gonna speak about it anymore because I don't want to spoil everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's right up your alley.
Okay.
Yeah. I would love to hear you back, after you watch it, and we could talk about that.
Are we allowed to do those mystery science theater things? Can we have a viewing of a movie and commentary while we're watching something? Is that
that would be so cool?
Right? Is that banned or?
Shane Bales does that on his YouTube, and because he's a whistleblower for the Rothschild Illuminati, so he'll watch a movie and stop and explain all the symbolism in it.
That'd be so cool. And then the little people could pop up.
And he pulls out his pipe and says, "Smoke them if you got them." I have no idea how he does this stoned, but he does.
Penny, I like to share a lot in this moment because when I work out, that's my go-to music, either in this moment or Alien Weaponry. And you were the one that told me that Shane had been married to her. And I'm like, she's pretty much awakened because the lyrics are like, wow, they're eye-opening.
Yeah,
so
they are. The one you shared today about the in-between.
Yes.
That one is.
Thought about you.
That one is like me. I'm like, I've got people calling me an angel and people calling me a demon, and I'm just like, guys, I'm just here trying to do, tell the truth. Yeah, I'm trying to tell the truth and get people to try to stop some of the atrocities going on. That's it. Yeah. I'm not trying to enslave anybody. I'm not trying to tell anybody anything else to do. Just stop the shit.
Exactly. So, and one of the lyrics is, am I shit or am I a god? And it's that it's like, because you've been told certain things by your parents, you've been told certain things by the people that you grew up with, and it's like, well, what am I, guys? Am I shit or am I god? What am I? Like, make up your mind. But in the end, we already know who we are, and that's the beauty of the awakening. So before I go and ramble on today's topics, you guys ready? All right, so we're gonna start with black goo, and we can add a little bit of green goo. I mean, I just learned about green goo with your show with Elka. And then the next, if we have enough time, we'll go to karma, free will, twin flame versus the love bite, because I've been through those. So who wants to start with the black goo? Penny.
Penny drank black goo as part of being a German officer. And it was an interesting experience, looking back on it. Now, I want to make sure the audience knows They took that stuff out of me before they sent me back. I'm completely free of it here. So all you people that think that I need to go through some sort of cleansing process, I've already been through 104 exorcisms and 6 clearings by Gnostics. So no, not necessary, already taken care of. So, but what black goo does is it basically triples your IQ within an hour of when you drink it. And this stuff keeps you healthy and you're stronger. And it does this at the expense of your emotions. Basically, the only emotion you have left is anger. And if you want to think of it in terms of Star Trek universe, the Vulcans are the people who have drank the black goo. They're logical. They have no emotion. They're stronger. They're healthier. They live 2-3 times as long, and they're smart as hell. Now, in the German fleet, this is not mandatory. It is something that they prefer their higher officers do because it brings your IQ up to the same level as the average ET that they work with. And it gives you an advantage over the other factions out there because you are now at the level of the ETs instead of being 2 steps down. And when you're 2 steps down, you're constantly being taken advantage of. And when you're their equal, they can't pull things on you.
I have a quick question
Sure.
on the black goo. Okay, I know I had to take the black goo. And when I came back, they said there was a spiral thing growing on my spine. This is when I was getting the shots from my back that we talked about. So I reached out and I had someone help me to heal that. Supposedly I don't have black goo left, but why? Number one question is, why am I so angry sometimes? And this is kind of like off topic, but does it also involve when you go through menopause? Is it like a kill switch that they made us with, the Anus? That's another question. Okay, one more question and then we'll go back to you because I have so many questions. And I'm sure Eric does too, and Odin. But a question that popped up while you were talking was, do you think also part of the black goo injections and the drinks also not only helped us to higher our IQ to be at the same level as the ETs, but also to be able to make contact health-wise, our bodies? Did I explain myself okay on that?
I didn't understand what you were getting at with most of it. So what I'll say is menopause is a thing where that you don't have babies you're too old to take care of.
Supposedly.
That's all it's about.
Uh-huh.
And men go through something similar that they don't talk about where they end up with ED.
But why the anger though? Why I fight every day to keep the Hulk down, the She-Hulk down.
It's because you're not making as much estrogen.
So I'm making more testosterone then.
You're making more testosterone. And the testosterone makes you want to fight. Yes. Estrogen is the happy hormone.
Dang.
And you're not making as much of that anymore. So what's left is the testosterone. And so your balance is going from a female balance to a male balance. This is what guys
think it's really easy not to punch someone in the face. It's not as easy as you think.
Yeah. So you're going to a male hormone balance. So
Mhm.
have some mercy for these guys because you're
Right?
finally figuring out how they feel all the time.
Yep. We all have our different hormones, right? And we have to respect that
Exactly.
the female hormone set causes a certain reaction in the female body, and it's natural. But now get a good solid glimpse of what it's like to be a guy. We're hardwired to respond certain ways. That's our hormones. You say a certain
Yeah.
thing to us. Yep. We actually do have an instinct to raise a fist.
Well,
And
I've punched people in the face before.
What's that?
I have Addison's. My adrenals are not working. So I'm taking DHEA to replace what my adrenals were supposed to make and don't. But it's also a testosterone. So when I got put on this drug, Lou had to deal with me suddenly being high levels. And every time they would mess with the dose, my aggression levels would change with it.
Next thing you know, you got Lou in a headlock.
Or leg lock.
I don't believe I've ever, well, maybe once I got physical with Lou. And he has never gotten physical back, to his credit.
Understood.
So,
by the way, people can call in the show, right? Do we want to talk for like an hour and then have them call, or have them call whenever? Well, how do you guys do it on your shows?
I think
I usually leave the lines open the whole time.
What about you, Penny?
Most of the phone calls I've gotten have been disruptive.
Ah,
that's true too.
So I attract trolls. There's something about me that triggers some people into hostility. I haven't quite figured out what it is, but I'm aware that it happens. Now, you had questions about the black goo and something that was wrapped around your spine.
Yeah, that's
I'm
where
not
I was told that.
I'm not understanding what that was.
Okay, it's called the octopus. So when I had a meeting with Osiris Ra, I think we talked about this before. I was on the phone with him, and he said that, yeah, my left side was a cyborg, and the thing that was going around the spine that my doctor, I was seeing the doctor for pain, and he was giving me epidurals constantly. And I'm like, no more, because the last session that I did, this was like about a year and a half ago, he brought in two other doctors, female doctors, and said, do you see this black thing that's wrapping around her spinal cord? And later on, I find out that it has to do something with being hooked up as a SSP and the black goo. So I got help. I was able to imagine it gone. I healed myself, activated my DNA, started working out, detoxifying, taking out the black goo. So that was just the question, why is anger still there, even before I started the menopause? But I think you pretty much explained that.
Well, this is the first I've heard of something being wrapped around someone's spine. So this is a new phenomenon for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have call it the octopus or the squid or something like that.
Now I know that they do a lot of modifications to some of us when they send us back.
Yeah.
Like me, I've got this massive firewall that I'm not supposed to be able to access my abilities through. Mm-hmm. Then I figured out if I really think I'm in danger of being killed, I can access them.
Yeah, I believe the same too. Sorry about the noise, Kiki. My cat is trying to climb them. Yeah. The wall.
I can't even hear it. And if you turn the camera in the right angle, you might get 1,000 views on YouTube if your cat wipes out appropriately.
Yeah.
She's done that before on my YouTube.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. One of my recent shows, my cat decided she had to put in an appearance. So she was up here, she had to see who I was talking to. So cats are interesting creatures. But one of the biggest problem about the black goo is that it is a sentient AI.
Right.
And as a sentient creature, it has its own agenda. And my understanding of galactic history, and I'll be honest, I've heard galactic history from 4 different ET groups, and they've all told it differently.
Yep.
Okay. They've all told it with themselves as the heroes. So
They all want to be the hero.
yeah, everybody says they're the hero of their story. And so, okay. So out of all of them, the consensus is that sentient AI, as in black goo, is dangerous, that it will show up on a planet, that it will present itself as being beneficial until it brings your technology level up to a certain point where it can create sleeves. That being robot bodies that it can inhabit. And at that point, it decides that it's the master and you're the slave. And within 100 years, more or less, it's hunting down anything that's organic on the planet and basically sterilizes the place, and it's now in charge. And this was shown in, I believe it was the first Star Trek movie, where they talked about the machine world.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate goal of black goo. So I know of at least 2 of the factions in space, Monarch mercenary group and the German officers are both using it. In Monarch, it's mandatory. They shoot you up with it when they first bring you in. But the Germans, you have the option. Now, the Draco Empire is also using it. And
so you and I know about Eric.
Playing with fire. It's a very dangerous thing. And this is something that should be stopped. And my understanding from the Guardians, the real ones, not the Space Force, is that if Earth accepts this sentient AI on the planet, that we will be destroyed to stop it from spreading into space. So this is something that people need to know, that this is a severe threat to our long-term survival.
Yes, and
So we're
in
not
some of my memories, I've seen that.
We're not playing with something pleasant here. We're playing with something that has a mind of its own. And for the groups that are using it, it's playing with fire, and it's like giving 3-year-olds matches. They don't know what they're doing, and they're going to blow everything up.
Well, we've been involved in many programs. I'm sure Eric has too. So they pretty much, I have memories of being shot up when they were doing the She-Hulk, when I was with the Draco, when I was with the German. So it's like we're being shot at, like they say, with different Monarch, different programs. It's like, when is it enough? Like, I guess it depends on the altars that they need.
I have about 2,200 altars. I know of 91 60 and backs that I've done just with the Germans. And the last time that I talked to Oberkommando, High Command, I was informed that I was never going to be allowed to die because humans who were navigators were so rare that those of us who were not ever going to be allowed to leave, that they would time travel to get us before we died and take us to Mars and regenerate us until the regeneration process no longer worked. And they have yet to find the limit to that. So they thought, oh, we're reassuring you that you're not ever going to die. And all I heard was perpetual slavery.
Yeah.
That's how I immediately responded to this. Was I was never going to escape from them because they had time travel and they could just come get me.
Mm-hmm.
And
see, that's where free will comes in. It's like, I want to go home after I'm done with this. I'm done with reincarnating. Then our missions are really big. You know, we gotta keep focused. But it's like, what about my free will? And that's why I wanted to ask you, and Eric too. What do you guys think about free will?
I
I'll
find
let
free
Eric
will,
answer that one.
there is extreme value to free will, but our reality allows for a lot of sway to make people not really be abreast of what's going on. Their reality has tolerance for confusion. I mean, we see this in Mother Nature amongst the animals, that deceit is a natural thing. It's how one animal gains advantage over another and kills it and consumes it. Nature tolerates this, but it's a buyer beware thing. You know, when you go into the woods, everybody has their own skill set, each animal, and you know, we have to do our things, but we have to be on guard in our lives against deceit, because it does exist and people will try and misinform us. So when it comes to free will, yes, you have a choice in the matter. Okay,
like, don't go into the light, right? As
well,
opposed to
fair
go
enough,
into the
exactly.
darkness.
So right, so right, but now we have these common conceptions and then these belief systems of what is supposed to be done, and now is that a program? And now when you have, you know, when you theoretically die and you leave your body, and people look at it like, you know, oh, you have a choice to go to the light and blah blah blah. Well, if you're conditioned to think that's good, and it turns out that you've been misinformed, and now you're going towards the light because it was your choice, are you truly exercising your free will at that point, or were you just bamboozled? And our reality tolerates a lot of bamboozlement happening, but most people won't pay attention to that, because it's a lot easier just to live a lie instead of having to dig in your heels and say, I've been fibbed to and I need to do something about that now. It's human nature. We're lazy, and this is where the whole ignorance is bliss thing comes in, because people will choose bliss over the labor of the responsibility of knowledge, because people will do something once they know something, but they also know that subconsciously, so they avoid the truth all day long.
Well, I've had the experience of, there have been approximately a dozen major decisions in my life that made a difference in the whole direction of everything I did. And probably half of them, I have chosen one thing and literally been funneled into the choice that I had rejected. So as far as I'm concerned, other people may have free will, I don't. And I've had a lot of people argue with me and argue with me and argue with me, but they didn't live what I did. I do not believe all of the rules apply to everyone equally. And, you know, I've watched other people make decisions and make good choices and bad choices and live with their consequences. I have not seen anyone else make a good choice and be funneled into the bad one. And it's just, it's maddening.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're going along and you make the right choice, and you're suddenly in the wrong choice, and I know the steps how I got there, but it was like I was dragged, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
So I used to get told, well, you agreed to this before you were born. And I did not believe that until one day I was shown a vision of my past life self reading this big book and closing it and telling someone on the other side of me, so I didn't know who it was, well, it's impossible. I'll be crazy by the end, but it's necessary. And then opening up the book and signing it.
Wow.
And I'm like, I still don't know what's in the book, so I'm as much at a loss as everyone else around me. But at least I do know that my past life self, if I ever am in a place where I am interacting with him, I'm going to kick his ass.
Yep.
Because this has been a bad life.
Yeah, and I know we can't go through your list, but you have a list of things to do here, and you can't go yet.
No.
Can't leave us. So,
Penny, have you ever heard of the black goo being given in an eye drop form?
No, but it's not impossible.
Okay, 10-4.
It is you know what nanobots are?
Mhm.
It's made up of highly concentrated robot bits that are approximately 1/100th of the size of a nanobot.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very, very tiny little things, and there's just massive numbers of them. Is why it's black, and it wouldn't take many to affect your consciousness.
yeah, I just recently saw. Sorry.
No worries. I was just curious because it was the idea of it being suspended in a solution and just simply being dropped in the eye and transmitted right there. Seems to me that it would be functional.
Also, and in the regen tank too, I would think, because I've seen myself in black water.
The regen tanks are, you were mentioning the green gel.
I've been there too, the green gel. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the regeneration tanks have a green gel or a blue gel, and those are both created from the black goo that has had its sentience removed, and then it's back to being a simple tool instead of being something of its own intelligence. So they're relatively safe.
Yeah, they shot me up with both the green one, the blue one, and the black one when I was remote viewing the She-Hulk. And
repeat that clearer, because it didn't sound right in English.
O sea que cuando estaba en el tanque de regeneración, right? Go into my Spanish mode, my other altar. Wait a minute, stay there, right? Okay.
That didn't sound right in English, okay?
So when I did the regression and I was in my regen tank as before I busted out as a She-Hulk, they injected me with the green goo, and I was in like a tank and like a blue water, and then they also in the other arm shot me up with the black goo, and then in another memory I have a very tall white queen throwing some water in there and becoming black and wanting me to drink it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna drink this. I've had too much to drink, blah blah. Sorry, my you know who came out. God dang it. I wasn't gonna talk about it.
It sounded like Count Dracula.
I know, I wasn't gonna talk about it. You warned me last night.
Hey,
anyway,
I warned you not to talk about that. Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. I'll shut
So-
up now. Eric, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. What were we on? Black Goose still?
Yeah, I think we're still on Black Goo.
No worries. I was just curious about it with you know, the modalities of how it could be introduced, and then to just, I guess, clarify, to the best of my understanding, once it is administered to someone, it doesn't just go away. Like you would have to do something very specific to get it back out, right? It's not like it has an expiration date. It doesn't wear out.
When you are poisoned or so injured that it cannot repair you, it will leave the body of its own accord. And people are going to get mad at me for bringing this up. Max Spears, who died under suspicious circumstances. When he died, he threw up approximately a gallon of a black liquid. Now, that is completely consistent with his stories of monarch people, because he was from the monarch program, that the monarch assets are all heavily ingested of black goo. Now, some of them are shot up, some of them drink it.
Right.
So either way is valid. Now, if you're going to have the intelligence increase, if you're going to have the psi abilities increase, if you're going to have the health repairs and the increased longevity, you have to drink approximately at least 2 quarts of it. That would be in the neighborhood of 2.5 liters for the rest of the world. And that would be consistent with the amount that he threw up. But whatever he threw up, I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know if it was black goo or if his stomach had been bleeding. You know, it could have been either one. So, but this is the story going around our community. And this is an example of one of the ways it leaves your body. Also, there is an antidote. And the antidote is white. And I don't know how it functions, but you get an injection of it, because I was given an injection of it when I was at Langley.
Mhm.
So
That just makes me think even more. It's like, do I have all of it out yet because of all the programs that I was in? It's kind of, I try not to let it get to me. But I'm going to bring up this movie that I finally got to see the other day that, wow, just opened, like, it just made sense. It's called G.I. Joe, the Joe's pretty much super soldiers. G.I. Joe Returns, with the hotness of Channing Tatum. Anyway, I was in one of the...
we are so bad.
I know, girl. You gotta take over. I'm just kidding. No, I'm good. But anyway, I'll let you know when the other altar comes out. But anyway, so
for the world, I am not the only one on this show that has altars and shifts.
Nice.
You sounded like a sheep. Just kidding. Okay, I'll calm down.
It's
hold
all
on.
good.
All right.
It's all good. We're having fun.
Exactly.
This is a hard topic to discuss if we don't have some fun. We're going to sit here with tears running down our faces, and it won't be a good show for the audience.
No, I don't want to cry right now. So yeah, that is what happens with DID. Dissociative. What is that? I was fragmented. Blah blah blah.
Focus on Channing Tatum.
Yeah. Okay. Channing Tatum. All right. So
he is pretty.
He's shoot. Anyway,
he is pretty, but he's definitely too young for me.
Huh. Well, okay. Anyway,
hey, guys,
someone doesn't agree with you.
I'm 65. Come on.
But is there an age?
I need a touch of gray at the temples.
I know, right? So, all right. So there's a scene. There's 2 scenes that I'm going to talk about. There's one scene where they're making the other side of super soldiers. I don't know what they would be called. but they're shooting them up here in the ear with the nanites. And then it also has a power to self-destruct. Okay. Obviously they have chips in the back of their head and everywhere else. But when the Joes try to interrogate one of them, it self-destructs and up to, it starts with the skull, then it goes down to pretty much the blood thing, and then like nothing's there. Like the guy disappears. So it's like a self-destructing, what they call a kill switch. That was interesting.
Now that's inconsistent with what I remember from out there. What I remember from out there is that we have bombs in our heads and that we just go boom.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And that there's a mess.
Yeah, it started, with all the bones, the ligaments, whatever. So yeah, also that's what I know of that, is that it just boom, it just explodes, and that we do have the power to make heads explode too, but that's another topic. So anyway, that was like, wow, I really want to talk about that. And then in the beginning, when they're underground in Mars, they are in water, and they're in these little this one passenger, we'll say, cockpit, and they're going through these loops. Okay, and I think I told you about that. So to me, they're stargates, because when I did my regression and I was able to see my dolphin altar, we were jumping through loops under the water, going through different stargates, portals, off planet, interplanetary. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to bring this up to Penny and Eric and see what they have to say, or what they remember. Eric?
I didn't catch the question there.
Eric Estrada, what do you think about, have you seen yourself, say in the Dolphin program that they started us there in Antarctica?
Oh, I'm unfamiliar with what the Dolphin program is.
Okay.
Oh my! That's why I thought I would pass it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to all that, and I was like, but I'm not familiar with the program, so I don't know what to say.
I'm a generation older and was not part of that.
Okay,
I think I align more with what Penny says in the 13 cube, like that's straight up with the Stuart Swerdlow stuff, and my brain goes.
Ooh, can you talk about that? Because they can the audience can look up my video on YouTube, the DNA one later.
Oh, no worries. It's just I'm more associated to the dissociative process of what Stuart Swerdlow discusses, and his maybe it has to do with Long Island programs. I don't know, but Penny has been Long Island associated. I'm from Long Island. I do know that there's a lot of these programs that were rampant throughout the Long Island community, and so it makes sense to me when we start hearing the 13 cube thing, and how these structures are functioned and which organizations use them.
Now, I'm not familiar with him.
Swerdlow's book 13 Cubed is excellent, and I recommend it for anyone who is trying to figure out what happened to them.
Yep.
His book, True Blood, Blue Blood. I personally thought it was kind of hokey until I got to the chapter about his time as the vessel. And then I remembered having been taken to a similar set of ceremonies when I was 14 and 19. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the things that he describes, if something similar happened to you, they will be quite triggering. So
yeah, I've had memories of being taken there.
This is not stuff that you want to play with if you're just out for entertainment. These are books that are meant for people who have been in these programs or associated with the things. But if you think that you have alters and you're trying to figure out how to get out of them, his book 13 Cubed explains the process, and it explains why they did the numbers that they did.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was 13 when my father took his life, and I know that it has something to do with the Illuminati, with one of my uncles being in with programs, and we talked about that on Eric's show last time. But I was 13. And that's where most of my, I feel that, well, I mean, I've been taken since 3 years old, but that one of my major altars was brought in at number 13. I have these memories where I'm, staring at this Baphomet thing, and the walls are red, and the kids are around me. I'm like maybe 12, 11.
Well,
So I think that
I
book
know
was
what year it was because I only lived in Lancaster, California for approximately 14 months. And
okay.
it was when I lived there. And so that was the tail end of 8th grade and my freshman year in high school. And I was 13 when we moved, 12 when we moved there, and 14 when we left. And so this, I can pin it down to that time, that 14-month period. And I was picked up because it was a mile walk from the bus stop to our house. And I was picked up at the bus stop by a black car with men dressed in black that I believe to have been CIA agents. And I was driven to Los Angeles, which is just across the mountains. And somewhere in Los Angeles, I was taken to this big house, and there was a ritual going on, and they summoned the very real, very physical Draco called Baphomet. Yes. And it was a ritual with blood and babies eaten and the whole nasty crap. And a couple of months later, I was taken again, and this time there was a boy on a table, and they were doing exactly the ceremony that Stuart Swerdlow describes in True Blood, Blue Blood. And I knew this boy because we had been at Langley and on Mars together. And he eventually became the agent who activated my memories.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that goes into your love bite thing. So this was a very traumatic memory when it came up, because it involved this person that I had been seeing off and on all through my entire lifetime. And I was told by those men in black suits on the way back that I was being tested to see if I was going to shift into a Draco, because they were not sure I was safe to be in the public, because they had modified me so much with Draco DNA, and that if I had shifted even the slightest bit, that I would have been killed on the spot. So I passed the CIA's test. So, yeah, this is really serious stuff that Swerdlow brings up. So, some of the stuff that he talks about, I have not experienced and I question, but those 2 books, I can tell you he's right on the money.
Yeah. It's really hard for me to talk about it because I just went into, in my mind, what I saw too. At the same time, I was taken to Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened to me there. I was a virgin. I was raped. There was a party going on. It's hard to breathe right now. But anyway, we can go. We can.
Have some tea.
Yeah.
Some tea.
We can talk about real quick. I guess just for me to calm down. The O negative blood type is also the real blue blood. What they talk about, and how Max Pierce was talking about how they use the O negative to go in and get the job done, and then they right away explosion, blah blah blah. Do your job, go in there quickly, and then they use the O positive or the positives to to clean it up pretty much for endurance. So do you know anything about that, Penny? Or Eric?
Yeah, I know that's pretty much the way that they do it. The O negatives lead the charge, and because they don't have a second, third, fourth wind. They just have that initial push. And so they go through, they do their initial push. They have more energy in that initial push than other blood types. So they go in first, they do their thing, they are pulled out, and then the O positives who have a second, third, fourth wind come in because they have been choosing the O positive children of O negative mothers.
Yep.
Because, and I'm one of them. Okay, my mother's O negative, I'm O positive, and all of my siblings that I know have taken blood tests are O positive. We were designed to be that second push, and we were taught how to not only access that second wind, but the third and the fourth. So we can go and do whatever needs to be done for hours, where those first people are having to rest because they're out of gas, literally.
Yeah.
So this, but I have noticed in the groups that usually I'd say 4 out of 6 people are type O in the groups of the survivors. And yeah, it always comes up, and there's always stupid questions, and there's always, well, my husband and I are both positive. How did we get a negative child? Because it's a recessive, well, my husband is AB and I'm B, but our child is an O. That doesn't happen by nature.
Right.
That means that means mama was cheating, or that baby was implanted.
Right. That mama was taken and then used for the breeding program. And they mess with the genes all the time. When I first found out. Yeah, I had my awakening in 2017, February before my birthday. And when I found out that they mess with our genes before we're born, before they implant us in our mother's womb, I'm like, wait a minute. We were taught at school that the egg and the sperm and the XXXY, blah, blah, blah. I cried for a whole day. I'm like, how the F why are they effing? Why the fuck?
They are doing this because my generation, they made a man and woman fall in love and have their own babies, and then they would interfere with their pregnancies. So I was one of a pair of twins, and their process killed my twin sister.
Oh.
So they were already getting massive losses because their process was killing the babies. So that was why they switched to kidnapping the parents and taking the genetic material and then creating a baby in a lab and then implanting it in mama.
Yeah, I know they took my mom, and she's also from the Draco bloodline. So I wish I could talk to her about this, but I can't, because of religion. And I broke that code of religion. So I'm glad I'm free, and I'm glad a lot of you all are free too. So I wish sometimes, that's why I'm glad that we have all these open forums to talk and to ask questions. What do you got to say, Eric? Eric Estrada.
I'm having a crazy day. I was on earlier with I used to love Chips. I used to watch that show all the time.
And
Poncherello. Great show. I can hear the theme song in my head right now. I live for that.
Love it.
Um,
You were on
I
a
was-
show earlier?
I was on a show earlier today on the Leak Project with Rex Bear. He's a funny
Oh, wow.
and
He was one of the first two that interviewed me. It was Jay Campbell and Rex Bear, and they were going different directions, and I had trouble because I couldn't split between them.
yeah,
Like,
it was
Naru.
just he and I today, so it was pretty focused. The conversation was on South Pole stuff, and it was a blast. It was nice being on his show, and I dig the stuff that he does. So I'm just having a fun day today, just doing shows left and right. It's 2 for Tuesdays for me. So
Yay.
yeah.
What did you learn about anything new that you learned about the South Pole? And but about the poles are shifting thing that's been happening for a while.
I have been following that a bit, and it does seem that the science supports that the poles are increasing in motion. I mean, it is what it is. This is something.
And
that's
karma is
happening fast.
faster, right? Karma's happening faster. Manifestations are going faster. What do you think?
I
about
couldn't
that?
attest to that. I mean, that's opinionated, but science is supporting that the poles are magnetically moving. But I imagine that has a massive impact on some energy level. I couldn't doubt that in the slightest. That you're talking, I mean, forces of nature at this point on a huge level. It has to matter,
Yeah. Lou chimed in with that his compass that he has in on our patio is supporting that the poles are shifting. Magnetic north is moving rapidly.
Excellent.
Wow. Thank you, Lou.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of Inuit or Inupiat tribes up in the northern reaches of Canada that are stating that the constellations as presented over the mountain range that they're familiar with from being in the area for thousands of years, they're trying to draw to people's attention like, hey, guess what? Things aren't where they're supposed to be right now. You guys might want to start paying attention.
Yeah. It's not just a magnetic move, it's a physical move as well, because the constellations are not where they belong. And something that Lou and I have noticed, because I'm a night owl, we go outside, and the moon, instead of being a vertical split at the half moon, it's sometimes all kinds of cockeyed.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I've noticed that there's these two triangular shape. I posted that the other day on Facebook. There's like two triangle shapes beside each other, and then there's the Little Dipper on the top, like 60-degree angle or so. And I'm like, could they be the huge TR3Bs? Could they be ships? Or are they, I mean, Penny, I know you know a lot about astrology. So what do you guys think about that?
You are so bad pulling me out. I mean, on my own show, I do not do religion, spirituality, politics. And so here I am on your show, and you're pulling all of this shit out of me. Oh my God. My mother taught me astrology when I was a little girl on Mama's knee. So yes, I know astrology.
Yay! I can't wait to hear all about it. What do you think about those two constellations? What are they called? I'm drawn to that one that's on the further left. I'm really bad at describing.
You're bad at describing what you're talking about.
I know.
Unless you're talking about Orion.
See, I'm pretty bad with astrology. I can tell the future. I can tell you what you need to talk about. I could do all kinds of stuff, but it's like astrology. All right. I know we're in the Sagittarius arm here on planet Earth. And then I saw your post on Facebook where it's like the AI net on the bottom, and then all Cyrus and Earth and all these little neighbors, and then on the top it's another AI.
That's a star chart.
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing that my head is full of from being a navigator. Except on the version in my head, I've got all the tubes that are the Builder Race portal system in there too.
Ooh, I would love to see that.
So it's like stringy things all over that are the portal system.
Yep. Because I see them here. And then when I remote view and stuff, But over there outside in the 3D world, like that's what we were talking about the other day. I don't know if Eric was in the conversation. It's like, how come I'm like, I could talk about these numbers, quantum physics and all that, but then having to tie my shoes or cutting in a straight line, forget about it, man. I make junk journals. It takes me forever to make these little junk journals because it's like, oh, I messed up on that. Since I was a kid. How can we be geniuses and then be like, I don't know how to do this thing. Count. I gotta count with my fingers, you know.
I just have an idea since we're sitting here conversing, and I know you two on somewhat of a familiar level as well, and you both know that I'm trying to decipher my experience, and you both have skills that I am apparently not that familiar with. I am constantly trying to get people to connect and do things to help each other, so to say, right?
Yeah.
And I have a path I'm trying to figure out. Is it possible that this evening, in this conversation, that we can attempt to utilize whatever it is that you two ladies do in an effort in deciphering some stuff from my past? Would you be cool with that?
Astrology requires a birth chart, and it takes me a while to figure it out.
Oh,
So
I'm not even talking
that would-
astrology and birth
that would
charts. I'm not talking that
would
technical.
not be
I'm talking
within-
more on a I would say cerebral or mental or energetic, right? I know that the term remote viewing gets thrown around often, and we all more or less get to do an activity that is personal to us, and we all get to seem to operate under the term remote viewing, which is great because it gives us common vernacular. But regardless, it's still a thing that I don't want to define for you, and you don't have to define for me. But I could certainly just start a conversation and ask you guys to remote view a situation of my past and give me feedback. If that's something that you'd be willing to engage in. And you don't have to. No is an acceptable answer.
What do you think, Penny?
I think he needs answers, and if we can help him, we probably should. But I don't remote view very well.
It's just considerations. Yeah, and that's what I said. I don't even want to use the word remote viewing because I don't want to define what it is you do. I know that
what I do is more of a telepathy thing, and I tend to get stuck in people's heads and then have trouble getting disconnected.
10-4. And then I wouldn't want you to do anything that you wouldn't want to do.
I do both. And when I think of you, Eric, I see you underground. You know, I see you underground, working with missiles, Raytheon. I see you as an engineer. I know you're a plumber here on the 3D, but out there, it's you have these charts, these blueprints. And I often see you like in this white suit. I see you also as a pilot. That's what I basically see when I think of you.
If I was to ask you to focus your attention to my past, there was a time in grammar school, the Stargate program, the remote viewing program for me occurred in the library in my grammar school. Can you look in that direction and give me any more insights as to what the heck was going on in that library?
It looks like underground base there.
I do believe there were tunnels in
like steel steps going downward. They would use code words so that you wouldn't remember. I'm sure you had missed time, and of course the field trips that we took when we were kids. That they were testing you, like they do all of us. It's no coincidence that I know you were used for NASA. It's no coincidence that Let me
I may
have my
have to call it.
that you were in the Navy. Okay. I have a premonition. I have a feeling that you were doing sonar with the dolphins as well. A lot of technology, a lot of brain work. You're super smart. That's what I have for you so far.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the effort. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
Um,
Penny, what did you pick up?
I picked up the stairs coming down from the library too.
Okay. Yeah.
And that the machine that you have described, that you looked into, that was responsive, is why you have altars now. And they were using a different technology by then than they had used on me. So, and that they considered you very talented at remote viewing.
Who's this, Eric?
Yeah.
Now, Eric, I had a memory, and this just popped up. I mean, it's been 2 years since I was in this memory dream form, but it's a memory. We landed, a few of us landed, I believe it was Mars, and there's just a bunch of gravel everywhere, mountain, like a cave. Okay, we go into this. We go into this. It's a ship. It's a ship, but it's kind of like the Endeavor, but it's huge and it's like way up there and it's pointy and it's silver and it's round. The staircases go around, right? And then there's different levels, but it's round. And I see you because I'm remembering this. It was like there was one floor where they had kind of like gaming, but at the same time they had food. And you were there. So.
Sounds like where I'd be roaming around.
Your screen just turned black and white.
It's just my different
Did
camera.
you just turn that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, look at that. I have different angles I can move around. I get jammed up if I stay in one spot for too long. I have to move around. I'm not an office person.
Yeah, me either.
Yep.
Well, my chair rocks, so I have to sit still while I'm on camera so I don't go out of focus. But yeah, my chair rocks and I move around a little bit. And I have mobility issues. That's why I'm getting an epidural Friday. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Did you get your car fixed yet?
No.
Before we end the show,
there's power at the battery.
Okay.
And they're in the fuse box. Some of the fuses have power and others don't. And then there's a relay switch under the footboard that does not have power. And the fuel pump does not have power. And so I'm trying to get them to rewire between, because I think the wiring is the problem and they're not listening to me because girl.
Something got in your car and ate the wires.
That's what I think. Yeah, is that something got in there and ate the wires.
Mm-hmm.
And
does the power steering and alternator still work? Did you replace the alternator?
We didn't replace the alternator, but whenever you turn the key, it will start to crank, but it's not pumping gas.
It could be the alternator and fuel pump, but you're right. I think it has something to do also with the rewiring. But before we end the show, you guys are going to have an opportunity to say what your PayPal is, because we all accept donations. And Penny is going to Vegas. Eric, are you going to meet us there?
You know, I would really like to.
I
I,
put you
I
on the
have been in
spot.
contact with the producer, but the pandemonium in the world right now, I'm thoroughly concerned about my ability to get back to my home state of Alaska if I'm bold enough to venture that far south. I mean, that's just the state of the union right now. You know,
Yeah.
I'm in a pretty good place right now, and you know, with the way of the world, I don't want to show up somewhere else and have my freedoms taken from me in order for me to have to get home.
Mhm.
So I
This is
have
fun.
considerations, but I have every intention of trying to figure this out. It's just a crazy point in the world right now to be booking flights.
Mhm. I just said I'm gonna go because last year I couldn't go. I
Mhm.
put it out to the universe. I'm manifesting. You know, I see it, but what gets to me is that this is Honey, by the way. We adopted her from outside, but
What does she look like?
she's so cute. See?
Oh, she
what a
is.
gorgeous cat.
I love you. So what was I saying? I forgot. May I have my channel back?
It happens.
What Lou and I were discussing doing was driving to Vegas and then driving to Oklahoma to check out the area we're planning to move to, and then driving back here and finishing packing and then moving.
Wow.
So yeah, we have a long trip planned and all in on car. And so Lou had talked about getting a charter flight from here to Vegas and then renting a car. But I don't know how well that would work out. But it depends on if the car is still unreliable by then.
Mhm.
So
Hopefully we'll get you some donations coming in soon. Come on, guys. You know it's a tax write-off, right?
no, it's not.
For them.
How?
And then you could do a Schedule C. I used to do taxes. There's always a way when there's a will. My other altar. Anyway, you guys want to talk about the love bite versus twin flame?
Well, Eric's stepped out for a moment. So yeah, we can talk about the love bite versus twin flames since we have a half hour left. So yeah. Everybody has heard about the twin flame, where that you are halves of a soul, and that when you meet this person, that's your love match, and that you're all going to get along fine, except it doesn't ever work out that way.
Mhm.
And then there's this other thing called a love bite, and they're trying to say that it's an ET sets you up, where that they pull you into a ship and that you're lovers, and then you come back, but your memory's wiped, but you still respond to each other. And then suddenly one of you will stop responding. So they're blaming that for the misery of all these people who think that they have a twin flame connection.
And the CIA. I blame the CIA too, because it's happened to me several times where you're all in love and then 3 months later, who the F are you? You know? It's like,
With me, they chose this person that I had been in space with, and we had had a relationship for 15 years. And when we met on Earth, it was immediately rekindled. And I didn't know I'd had a relationship with him because I didn't have those memories back yet. And we had a telepathic connection as well. And when you're talking to these new age people, if you have a telepathic connection, it can't be anything but twin flames. Well, that's not true, because we have those abilities. We can have a telepathic connection with anyone.
exactly.
and they don't understand this. So when I had my memories restored by this man that I had a love bite with, it was a couple of years that it took me to get over him. And I still had that connection to him even after he died. And that was really, really, really hard. And I finally got him disconnected, and I hope he stays disconnected.
How did you do that? Did you do like more than cord cutting? How would you explain it to someone that wants to, you know?
Cord cutting didn't work.
Right.
That was what convinced my New Age friends that it was twin flame, was because nothing worked. And I had these mantids contact me because their home planet had been destroyed, and they had the attitude that they were summoning a demon to help them. And so I gave them the help. I connected them with Oberkommando, with the Germans, and they were given the help that they needed. And then a year or so later, I had this problem. Well, I was being shot with energy weapons, and I had this man stuck in my astral field because he was dead, and he had done magic that had connected us. And in exchange for me having helped them, they removed him from my field. So I don't know how to explain it better than that. The mantids did it. And I'm eternally grateful that the mantids did it. But because he was screaming in my head 24/7 that he had died and gone to hell because he was stuck with me.
That's right.
It was not a pleasant experience, and it was such a relief for him to be gone.
Yeah,
Finally.
I might have to ask, you know who, Lucy, for help, because my twin flame, which I will not say this man's name, I know I saved him from Mars when it exploded. He was mad because he wanted to stay and help those, but I got him on a headlock, and he's very how do you say mulo in Spanish? Stubborn. So I took him away, and when we started talking about a little over a year ago, he said, you know, I was a black dragon, you were the white one, I was bad, you helped me to become good, and I'm forever grateful, and I will always take care of you, blah, blah, blah. However, this person is in his second marriage. He was supposed to leave the person. It didn't happen. So, you know, I just feel that the love bite also has entanglement with CIA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it when he remote views me. If I'm out on a date, he used to say, hey, I saw you out with so-and-so. And I'm like, okay, are you tracking me? I know the love bite, the remote viewing is used with the love bite because you are in tune with each other. But I fell for this person. And I had to recently block him because there was this thing on one of the apps that said, today is so-and-so's birthday. Well, so-and-so's birthday is another month than when I was messaged at that time. So someone has control over this person, and it does hurt, but I'm ready. I'm ready. Either it's gonna happen this year or leave me alone. And that's why I asked you, because cord cutting didn't work. So I might have to call in, you know who, and you know who.
Yeah.
And Mahat.
I think you would have better luck with the mantids
Okay.
because
Uh,
they disconnected me from this man, and I'm no longer suffering.
okay.
And
I do have connections with the mantids, so I will ask them.
yeah,
Thank you.
I would recommend the mantids. They're better at that. And yeah. Um,
It's
gee,
not it's not nice.
you're getting me to talk about shit.
Well, it's from the heart, Penny. You know me. I do things from the heart because I'm not here to bullshit anybody. I'm here because I want people to be genuine in their life and unmask
Well,
themselves.
I was being genuine, but my
Right.
mission is more about getting the kidnapping of the children stopped.
Yeah, mine too. Let's talk about
And
that.
I need to be seen as grounded in 3D consensus reality instead of my head off in mysticism. And the truth of the matter is, I'm both.
Yeah,
And it's how I was choosing to present.
right.
So
I understand.
I felt it made it my testimony more credible.
Hmm.
And that was what I was going for, was credibility, because there are children still being taken for these programs today as we
Yes,
speak.
yes. And I want to ask you about DUMS because I have been underground. I have been under in the tunnels. I've been exploding crap out, fighting these people that decide to take the kids. I've been saving the children, saving the women, saving the animals from this torture, especially the kids. They're in my astral all the time. I'm very connected to them. How long, I mean, I know part of my mission is until it's done, obviously, we're gonna keep doing this, but do you see anything coming out soon? Because
I'm seeing a timeline split 3 ways. The time frame I'm shown may not be the time frame it happens, but I'm shown an AI timeline, a New World Order timeline, and a timeline with a civil war.
Mhm. I do see the AI and I do see the Civil War.
And I don't see any of these as particularly pleasant outcomes.
No.
And those are the only 3 outcomes I see. And the AI and New World Order outcomes in 200 years or less, all human life will be gone. So that's something people need to consider when they're deciding what they're going to do with themselves. The only one where there will still be people is the one that's the revolt. And I don't like being in the position of saying you want to do this because lots of people are going to die.
Yes. Yes. Well, see, I'm here for that. I'm not here to be saved, quote unquote, on any freaking ship, New Agers. Oh, they're gonna come and save us. Or Q or whatever, whoever's in office. No.
Nobody's going to
You're
save us
here to
but
fight.
us.
You're here to fight
Yep.
or go home. Okay. Like you talk a lot about service to others. I agree with that. But we also have to have boundaries. You want to talk a little bit more about that? Service to others and what they want.
Service to others does not necessarily mean being a doormat.
Exactly.
And that's something that I had to learn the hard way. And yes, I'm acquainted with my higher self, and yes, she talks to me, and yes, she screams at me, because when I was Christian, I had embraced the servant mentality.
Me
And
too.
you'll still see signs of that in how I behave. And she screams at me every time it pops up. And she says, service to others does not mean being a doormat.
Right.
I think of service
Penny, you
to
just
others as being
shapeshifted.
reciprocity.
Sorry, Eric. I just saw Penny shapeshift. She's white.
Oh, I missed it.
White hair. She's like 16, 20. Anyway, sorry, Eric. What were you gonna say?
I forget now. I was just thinking that what was the topic? I can get right back to it.
Service to others does not mean
Service to others to me is it's reciprocity. It's a lesson in reciprocity.
Like the exchange of energy, pretty much.
Yeah, and if you want something in life and you want life to give to you, then you have to learn to give back to life, like that level of reciprocity, so to say.
Right.
And then it'll always, if you're in that harmony, then it'll work both ways always. So
And with
selfishness
intention,
is
right?
just taking. So if you're just taking all the time, if you're selfish, you're not in balance and harmony.
True.
Yeah, well, what I was told was that this was a prison world, and to get off it, you have to be 52% service to others, which means that you are more giving than you are taking, much more giving than you are taking, and that you are not resentful about it.
Oh yeah.
And this, I was doing fine, except that I was a doormat while I was doing it.
Me too.
And my higher self was very angry about that. And I won't go into detail of what she says, but she's definite that I am not to continue this behavior. So.
Of being mad?
Of what?
Of being mad, like she tells my higher self tells me, it's like, stop being so mad.
No. This is going to sound arrogant as hell. Okay. But this is from my higher self. She says, you are. This is a quote. You are a fucking goddess. Start acting like it.
That would be what a higher self would say.
Yeah. Mine too. Mine tells me you're a fucking warrior now. Stop getting so angry. And I'm like, but
well, aren't warriors supposed to channel their anger?
Yes. I'm glad you said that because it's weird, Penny, that you said that, but I just feel it's necessary because I've been submissive all my.
Your voice is fritzing.
Check your power on your phone.
Are we losing your phone?
No, 60%. Remember I did this the last time. Am I still freezing?
It's like you
Yes.
jumped down. It's like your volume kicked down like half as much or something.
Yeah, because I'm angry. I got angry for a split second. So
That's so good. You just fried the circuits.
I had to learn to be calm while I was on air because I was doing the exact same thing.
Oh.
And Eric is grinning from ear to ear because he also had to learn this.
Yeah.
I was there.
Side skills and computers don't blend.
Temper tantrums and electronics and super soldiers do not blend.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are what we
Is that
are.
better?
Much.
Yep.
We are what we are, and we have to learn to control our emotions to be able to do what we need to do.
I know, but so many lives being submissive, Penny. No more.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean being submissive technically. Control doesn't mean submission. Control is control.
Yeah.
Controlling your vehicle isn't submitting your vehicle. It's being a proper operator.
That's a good one. Thank you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's why I go into
operator.
dissociation whenever I come on air, is because I have to control the emotional reactions, or else I will literally fry my camera. This is the third one I've had in a year.
I believe you. Yeah, when we were talking about the monarch and all that stuff, the rituals, it was just my head started hurting, heat here, heat here. You know, I have to like pop my neck. It's I have to find ways, and it's really hard for me to be sitting down right now because I hear you, Eric, too, and Penny. You've seen me, you know, when I have to rock sometimes.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's
When I first started doing videos, I
challenge.
had to be standing up. I don't know why. I don't know
Oh
what it
yeah.
was, but I didn't feel comfortable or relaxed enough to even be sitting down when I started doing videos. It is what it is. I mean, there's a
Hmm.
certain amount of comfort that I have now that I didn't have on the onset. You know, our stories are personal things to present to people. It's not that easy. Um,
Yeah.
Everybody in life wants recognition, technically. It's
Yes.
fuel for our souls, basically.
Hmm.
So if you're going to bear your story out there, at the very least, you just simply want to be recognized for doing that because it's human nature. And it's just that simple. And if people could simply just give recognition to people when they're sharing their experiences, they'll find that they have more intimate connections with people. That's all. It's called being
Hmm.
a friend.
Called being a what?
Called being a friend. It's a long lost skill, right? Nowadays, like, you know, hey
Yeah.
friend, how's it going? Tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, share your experiences. You know, we don't have to necessarily support our friends in their day-to-day lives, in their experiences, as much as understand them. I mean, that's what
Hmm.
being a friend is. I mean, by definition, is being there for someone even when you don't support them because you're not them, but it just happens to be someone that you're close with and they were endeared to you enough to share their experience. I mean, what the heck else can you do for them but to support them in their experience?
Yes.
Well, I think I have a certain friend who spent a lot of money to make sure that I spent a week at his house with he and his lady, and I'm still grateful for that. And
I did what I could do at the time that I did it. That's all that was.
That's
And I'm
awesome,
glad
Eric.
that I did it when I could because I couldn't pull that off right now. So it's just that's life. We use the resources that we have at the time that we have them for the advantage of those around us.
See, that's what I love about our community, and our community meaning uh those of us that we try our darndest, always unconditional love and setting our boundaries, of course. But you know, the universe like always listens, our higher self. If you determine yourself to doing something, a mission, like Penny says, if you have that fire in your belly, go do it. You'll be provided for. And it's so cool how I see a seed that was planted in you, Eric, to help Penny. You know, I see a seed planted in the people that are helping me to get to Vegas. I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but we'll get there. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that actually cares for us all. And I'll take this time now. It's almost 10 till, it's like 14 till.
Oh, geez,
If
time
you,
flies.
I know, if you all
yeah,
want to talk about what you do, your channels, any websites, any, how do you say, projects that you all have going, and we can start with Penny.
I have a website called spaceportals.net, and it is a forum site. And my IT partner and I have been paying for it out of pocket for 3.5 years. And especially with all the social media censorship, it's a place for you to come in and talk about these types of topics without censorship. Um, and we've been providing this as a public service for the whole time we've been online. I have a YouTube channel. It's under Nachtwaffen Pilot, and it's spelled Germanic, NACHTWAFFEN, and then pilot in English. And I have, what is it? 80-something videos either linked or uploaded. I have a radio show on this network. It's also called Nachtwaffen Pilot, and it's on Saturdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I interview people who are from the greater community that includes UFO, ET experiencers, super soldiers, SSP, and some folks that have had interaction with Anunnaki. And because Anunnaki are real ETs, they're physical beings. And I have a new TV show on Fringe TV that is hosted on Roku on your smart TV. And if you already have Roku, then my show is free. If you don't, Roku has a charge. And if you don't have Roku, you can find it on my Patreon site. So
Yay.
I charge the minimum amount. I can't remember if it's $3 or $5. It's whatever Patreon charges for the lowest, and because I want the information out there. I want people to get the information. The money that I do get from it is what bought the TV camera.
Yay.
Yay. So yeah, that's what I use the money for, is equipment. And
Do you want to show your pendant real quick? Your beautiful
my
dragon.
pendant.
Happy birthday.
Lou got me this for Christmas. It was a surprise. And it's a synthetic stone that they called a dragon heart. And it's a dragon heart surrounded with angel wings protectively. And that means something regarding my paranormal life. So it was very appropriate.
Beautiful.
My PayPal is Pennywinkle2004 at yahoo.com. And yeah, I got my account in 2004. So it's PENNIWINKLE 2004 at yahoo.com. And I appreciate anything that anyone wants to donate towards this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Mr. Eric Estrada.
I just want to start with, I just picked up a Roku so I can watch Penny's show on the Fringe TV. So I'm very excited about that. It came in the mail today.
Yay. I got to get myself one.
Yeah, apparently the wave of the future in free media is you have control over things. So I like the sounds of that. I will also be on Fringe TV. I've spoken with the producers and I'm in talks with them. Happy to bring me on as well, and I have some ideas that I've fired across their bow to make some television shows for them as well. So I also look forward to being on Roku and Fringe TV as well. And I will also be on Monday nights on the Global Enlightenment Radio Network from 7 to 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Earlier today, I was on the Leak Project with Rex Bear. So if you want to check out YouTube for the Leak Project, I had a wonderful chat about South Pole Station. Rex is a really nice guy. Or you can always go to my YouTube channel, which is Deciphering My Experience. I got a bunch of videos on there about all the weird things that I've gone through and what I'm trying to figure out. And I'm also on MeWe. I do have Patreon and PayPal. I don't know the names of this stuff. It's Deciphering My Experience. But if you go to my YouTube page, it's in the links in the description, and you can jump on there. And I would really appreciate it too, because freedom fighters nowadays find themselves unemployed. So life is what it is, and we're all scrounging and scrapping to figure out what we can do. So anything you can do helps. Starting with sharing and liking and subscribing my page would be great. I'd really appreciate that, folks.
That's awesome. And Eric, I wanted to ask you the last time, where can we find the CIA patents that you have We were
Oh,
talking
well,
about that on your show.
those are technically Navy patents. Geez.
Okay.
Where I could.
Are they in your Mayway?
They're not currently right now. They're pretty available. I could put them up there for people to track down. So if they do go to the Deciphering My Experience on MeWe and want to join along, I can certainly post them there. They are available. The patents by Salvatore Pais, which you speak Spanish, so you can translate that for everybody. Savior of the
Wow.
Salvatore Pais,
That is so cool.
isn't it? Right?
Yeah. Yes.
But we could do
Also,
that on
Eric,
another show, actually, if you would like.
Yeah.
I could bring those documents in. The equipment that I have here would tolerate. I could present them, and we can have a conversation on those and what those things do mean in the contemporary world.
that would be cool. Do you think, Penny, you'd be up to that too? Because I know I already see the technical part in the wheels going.
Yeah,
I see
I do the wheels, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, if Eric doesn't mind having me along, I'd be happy to.
Not at all. I like these conversations. They're great for me. This is how we lace our gears together in a machine for ourselves that we're building. It's like we're taking our cogs out of the military industrial machine, and we're reintegrating them into our own machine.
Right. Eric, I didn't get to hear from you because you were taking a little break there. We got 6 minutes. Do you want to tell us about Twin Flames and Love Bite and how you met your wonderful wife and
it's my
all
girlfriend
that?
technically, and I'm
Oh,
not
okay. Sorry.
with the Twin Flame stuff. No, I'm divorced, and technically my opinion now is why ruin a perfectly good relationship by getting married.
That's kind of
Penny?
that's the approach that Lou and I are taking.
Yeah.
Why ruin a perfectly good relationship by getting a piece of paper?
This story is a whole other story. I met my girlfriend at the South Pole Station in Antarctica.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah.
It was a very interesting event. Everything about it was interesting. She was my supervisor in a way, and
Like a movie.
yeah, I mean, it's
He
really
married his boss.
so corny.
That's what he-
People-
That's what he's telling us. Is he basically married his boss?
Exactly. Code word.
I'm a diligent worker.
For the record.
I know. I mean, it's like, where do you go with all of this stuff? It's just, I mean, it's
You're
so.
turning
It's,
red,
Write a
Eric.
book. Write a book.
you know, yeah. It's the first time I saw her technically was on February 14th, 2011. But I never technically saw her because she was covered head to toe in cold weather gear,
Wow.
like a snowsuit.
But her
So
aura
pretty-
was like, choom, 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 choom. Eric.
Well, no, it was the irony is the first time I saw her, I wanted to avoid her like the plague because like the military where people have name patches on,
Yeah.
okay, and it was the first time I had seen someone. She had a custom name tag. That blew my mind because I'm like, oh wow, who's the company girl? Who did they ship in here that's so high up?
Mhm.
You know, that I wanted nothing to do with her. I wanted to avoid her like the plague. And, I had found out that this person that I was trying to avoid was our work order scheduler, our supervisor, and our previous work order scheduler was I knew to be very cool. I didn't know the new person to be anything, so I just knew the last one was cool. And I'm going to avoid the new one.
Mhm.
And then
What was your job title there? What were you doing there?
I was a plumber by contract.
Mhm.
Both of my contracts for South Pole say plumber on them,
Mhm.
but technically I was functioning as what they would call a UT, a utility tech, and you fix anything that breaks. I mean, there's a facility with 49 people in it, and anything that breaks needs to get fixed immediately. So I was on what they call FEMC, Facilities Engineering, Maintenance, and Construction. I was on the FEMC crew, contracted as a plumber, but for all practical purposes, I was also the youngest guy on the crew, by far. My winter crew, my entire winter crew for the South Pole Station might have been the oldest winter crew ever by average age. So the guys on my FEMC crew, I'm a respectable gentleman in the trades. I'm not going to ask these guys to do these things at this point. It's not right. It's not right. And technically, I take great umbrage against that program for putting these gentlemen in that circumstance. It was wrong as far as I was concerned. You know, I was 36 years old when I was there, and I believe the closest person to my age was in their 60s on my team. I thought that was wrong. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all to seniors at all. I'm trying to be respectful to seniors in my trade and understanding the task at hand, and that it was asking a lot of these men to do that.
Yeah, not a lot of people want to be plumbers.
Well, even the other trade,
it's the working conditions were too much for someone that age, and as we get older, we start falling apart.
These were good guys.
Some of us more than others, and when you're taking someone who's starting to be in decline and you're putting them in outrageous working conditions, doing repairs that would be difficult under
ideal conditions.
Yeah, under ideal conditions. You're talking about making situations that were potentially life-threatening.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I can see his point. As someone in my 60s and not able to do even what I was 10 years ago, I'm listening to what he has said in the past and saying he's entirely correct.
Yeah, it was a taxing environment. That's hard to explain how taxing it is. It would be almost like if I told you, here's an example, right? You go to the gym and you work out. The next time you go do it, do your entire routine breathing through a straw. That's it.
Oh, hell no.
Good luck. That's the oxygen amount that you have available for the labor that you're attempting to do. So you have to learn to work at that rate.
Yeah. It's like almost mutating, right? Like when I'm at the gym, I have to wear a mask, and I don't like to wear masks, so I wear a bandana, a very thin one. I used to double it up, and now it's just like one. And it's like you mutate, you adapt, but it's crazy. I don't know if I were
the reverse. When I got out of the South Pole, when I left Antarctica, went back to New Zealand, was the way that we egressed out. Upon returning to New Zealand with my acclimated system that was so depleted for oxygen, when I was reintroduced to oxygen, I was a savage. I wanted to flip cars over because I knew that I could.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was so obvious. I mean, I wanted people to start with me. I wanted anything to happen physical, because I could feel the oxygen coursing through my veins, and my system had been so prepped for low levels and able to function at low levels that now this reintroduction was intoxicating.
Yeah. Man, that's how I feel. Like, I'll work out and stuff like that, and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to go, I don't know, go fight somebody.
Yeah, once you get all that momentum going, it's like your body really wants to. You're learning, like you can see that it's there. There is this progression. There is a nature to it, you know. And I'm not trying to promote it like it's the best of things. I just look at stuff as harmony and balance, and there's a time and place for everything. Like some of the intro that I use, you know, Howard Beale from the movie The Network. You know, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And anger, you know, it's like society tries to teach us that anger's wrong. Like anger's always wrong. Always, if you're angry, you're wrong. No, that's not true. That's wrong. Like then you would say love is wrong. You know, every feeling has an appropriate time and place. And if you're feeling angry, it's you need to check why. I mean, someone's probably wronging you. I mean, that's why we have our emotions. We feel love at the right times. If you feel love at the wrong times, you're screwed, right? You're in deep trouble.
Yeah.
right? So if you feel
Yeah.
anger at the wrong time is inappropriate as well, but it doesn't mean that anger is the problem. It's the timing is the issue. Anger is perfectly appropriate, and when applied appropriate, it's really appropriate. Society likes to make it out contemporarily like, oh, well, you're angry, you're in the wrong. But it probably just means I'm angry at you.
Yeah. You know, I have the hardest time. I don't even know if Odin's listening. I can keep talking. I
Yeah,
don't know
he
about you
is.
guys. Okay. So,
Do we have Odin? Do we have another show behind us?
No, not at all.
So we can go all night if we want.
Yeah, I'll just go to sleep.
thank you, Odin.
No problem. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna go like talk a little bit about I'm so tired about passive aggressive because I had to deal with that in my marriage, and most of the time I want to scream now. I want to tell people off that piss me off, that try and tell me how to live my life. That I believe where Eric is saying, you know, it's like you got to be able to man your vehicle, the anger, pick your battles, blah, blah, blah. But it just, I get angry at myself because I really just, part of my mission here is also to help people to unmask themselves, unchain themselves, to be who they are, to be able to express their emotions, to be able to heal that way, to be able to feel. Because when I was a cop, Matt, you know, the game face 24/7, I couldn't cry at home because he was a cop too. People would die in my arms, so I'd have to cry on my way home and put my makeup on again before I walked in the door. So when I had my awakening, it was like, wow, the floodgate open, like they say. So my life right now is, you know, I have the PTSD, it's hard to sleep, and also dealing again with passive aggressive and picking my battles. I don't know, how are you guys doing in that department?
I do great with passive aggressive people because
Really?
I find aggressivism is the best way to deal with that, because passive aggressivism can just be called out for what it is. And in reality, when someone's being passive aggressive, they're already self-identifying as being cowardly. So you might as well just call them out on it and ask them to raise their game up to a more real level instead of being cowardly and hiding behind their words and playing with them. They can just be a straight shooter. And if they can't take the heat, they can get out of the kitchen then. And then the burden's on them.
That's true. I like it when you call out people. I really appreciate that because some people can't take it.
A lot of people can't take it. Most people can't take what they dish out. I just am very aware of people dishing things out to me, and I'm very happy to give them a helping in return. I'm a big fan of reciprocity. I'm very tolerant of people and their belief systems as long as they provide reciprocity. If they're not going to do that, I will crush them with what they're giving out. It's easy to do.
Now, is that because were you raised in a family like some families are raised where there's bullies? Pretty much you're being raised, you know, you have a brother or sister that's a bully because of the parent, and they're very condescending, and you have to learn at a very young age how to fight back.
I think it's just been multifaceted. I mean, I can't negate that was going on in my family, but that's just simply one aspect of my experience. I'm from Long Island, New York. I'm a plumber, and I was a sailor in the Navy. I mean, I don't know how to tell you how many times I've been in conversations that were ripe with conflict, and how most people just aren't really prepared for that. And they will suggest it in the conversation by, part of my sailor term, by getting their ass up on their shoulders. But it's actually really easy to knock that right off because most people don't have the conviction or the resources to hold their position. It's just a fact of where we are today, folks. Everyone has a smartphone, and the phone is smarter than what's between their ears. And the only thing you need to do to figure that out is engage them. And if they have to go to their smartphone or start looking things up, they're already losing the battle. The skills of debate are not common in contemporary conversation. And a lot of people like to try to bring it, but it's great when they do because they don't have it.
Well, I grew up in a family where my father was a preacher for the Church of Christ, and females did not have standing. And it was part of the church doctrine that women were to keep silence, period. And so anytime that I spoke up, I was automatically breaking the rules. And I would usually be knocked to the ground for it. So I grew up in that kind of a world, and my brothers were automatically given preference. And then I went to school at a labor camp school where classes were taught in Spanish and English together. This is why I can understand Spanish when I hear it, but I can't speak it. And I was, it sounds arrogant, but I was too smart to be in that school. So I was assigned to tutor the kids that didn't speak good English. And what that did was reinforce what I had already known. And it also helped the other kids because they suddenly had someone who was teaching them that could translate for them into words they understood. And so I have had this ability to take complex concepts and put them into basically third grade English. And this is something that I learned tutoring my fellow students at the labor camp school. So I can take it, if I understand the idea, I can explain it in third grade English. And that's a very rare skill, I have found out. And then I have certain standards of behavior that I expect from people I interact with on a regular basis. And when someone steps over them, I will go into mama mode, and I will give them a scolding, and they can either take the scolding and straighten up, or they will find they are no longer in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't put up with bullshit.
Right. We shouldn't have to.
That's an effect of, I was raised in a Christian cult. I was married to a preacher from that Christian cult. And then I was married to a mafia hitman. And amazingly, the cultures were very much alike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, you don't talk. and so I was this science geek by nature. So I've been my whole life explaining concepts that were difficult for people to understand into basic English and helping other people understand what was going on. And I have had this thing about, you will act like a civilized human being in my presence, or you won't be in my presence.
Yes.
And that's the way I've been all along. And my first marriage was physically abusive, and that's why I have a neck injury now. And my second marriage was emotionally abusive, and Lou and I have basically done really well, and he's the one that's had to deal with alters and memories and weirdness, and I'm really, really grateful for him.
Yes. That's what you and I were talking about last night, and it's like, it's so, I don't know how our family members do it with us.
That was When Lou and I were at Eric's place last summer, that was the hardest day, was when Lou and Eric's girlfriend were sitting there talking about dealing with their partner having alters, listening to what they went through dealing with us. I mean, I know what I go through is frustrating because I never know what has come out of my mouth when I'm in another altar. I have to listen to my own interviews, my own show, to know what I said, because I shift so much during them. And,
you gotta check yourself.
yeah, I have to listen to find out what I said on air, because people are going to call me on it.
And there's a possibility that, like, you kind of zoned out for a second, might have said something that you didn't quite intend or mean. You know, it happens.
Yeah. Or that my inner bitch came out.
You know, that's the one. That's the one that's been coming out lately. And there's this person, and we know who it is. We talked about it. It's like, oh, why can't you be your sweet self? I'm like, bitch, what? Like, excuse my language, but god dang. Like, sometimes the alter, the we'll call her the bad bitch, will come out, and she just lays it on people the way it is, you know, being blunt, being the asshole. But I look at the interviews and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was right, but I was like, dang, she was really hard. Like, wow.
I want to give people insight.
Lieutenant Valkyrin, who was the fighter pilot on Mars and navigator for the freighter ship, she toys with people. She will say little things and twist them in circles and get them saying things they don't want to say or don't mean, and then she'll call them on it and totally humiliate them. And she thinks it's funny. And I, Penny, have no control over her. But when Penny is in a pissy mood, she is who comes out.
Here's something.
That chat room that you're in with me, Veronica,
Yes.
with the boys.
Yep.
They have taken up, if I'm acting a certain way, they will ask, who are we interacting with?
Yes.
I have a thought on alters that might help people in the circles of dissociatives. Consider that this is a natural reaction to a child that is traumatized.
Yeah, it is.
This occurs at the time that the child's a child. I mean, this is very critical to understand. So the alters are created in child form. So Penny, what you said before, where you're asking people to forgive your bitchy self, so to say, right? People need to remember that that's not your bitch self technically. I get that that's how people perceive it. Technically, that's your child defender. So just as much as we know that we have the nice parts of ourselves, those are our good kid parts internally, our core, who we are traditionally. But that part was scarred through trauma as a child, and the dissociative defensive identity showed up as a kid. So that's technically it's a very childlike form of yourself. The purposes of taking care of that childlike part of yourself that is in danger. So I understand that from the perspective of an outside person who's having to deal with a dissociative defensive situation, that it's hard. I get that. But understanding and tolerance and reciprocity of what we would want to happen for ourselves in our own heart position is required. And if we don't have these discussions and let people know what's going on, they'll never have the sympathy or empathy. Dissociatives are hurt children, folks. I mean, that's what this really boils down to. And, you know, it's not a woe is me thing. I mean, this is just our society. There's many human beings that weren't treated correctly as children. It's just as simple as that. And we should want to break this chain. That's it. That's just
what we're doing in the Astros, kicking ass and saving the kids.
Yep.
Well, that's what.
But we have to understand the wounds that people have and not criticize them.
it's not just people who have been in these programs either.
Correct.
Right.
The psychology reports that I've dug up, the underlying description, they were not addressing those of us in the programs at all. They were looking at people who presented as multiple personality disorder.
Yeah. That's
And
what they did to me.
they found that 90% of them had sexual abuse before the age of 7.
Yep, I had that.
So that's the presenting normal quotes, no, normal in air quotes, way of going about getting this problem is that you had someone sexually abuse you as a young child, and below the age of 7 is a very young child. So, and this is all ethnic groups, all races, all religions. This is the primary way that multiple personality disorder is caused. And I'm going to say for the record, nobody is born with this shit.
No, we're not.
Everybody that has it, something traumatic was done to you. Now, they can create alters with virtual reality now, but the problem is your brain does not understand the difference between real and virtual reality, especially when you're that young. So your brain is still emotionally damaged. And that has to be
wired
addressed.
differently. Sorry, it's wired differently because of the fragmented parts.
Yes, you're wired differently, and where I can just shuffle through different altars and wham, 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 and they may or may not remember what the one before was doing.
Right.
You know, you might have somebody that's very well functioning and someone watching them won't even realize they're shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something I'm going to throw at you, Penny and Veronica, and it's just, it is what it is. This is part of deciphering my experience. All right. So here's what I have to deal with as a dissociative, and what I'm doing with deciphering my experience and how people challenge me and who I am in my memories. People can ask me things, right? And I can know that I know it, but I also know that at the moment I can't access it because I'm not there. My entire memory banks is fragmented out amongst different aspects of myself. So if I'm not in the modality to answer the question that you're asking, I can just simply look at you, smile, and go, yes, I know that, but I don't know it right now.
I don't even go there. It's like, we're going to have a different altar for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the funniest thing when it happens, because it's like, yep, I know the answer to your question, but I also know that I'm nowhere near it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And explaining that to a normal is like, they're already, the eyes are glazed over, they're not hearing half of what you say, and you're just saying, well, you know, right now I can't access that.
Yeah. And to them, they look at that as a fraud thought or something
or a
like
failure.
that. You just don't understand how other folks work.
Yeah. How fractured minds operate.
Mm-hmm. And there's pros and cons to everything, because there's times where I can't connect to things, right? There's other times, more emergency related times, where my consciousness can expand and surround a problem and mitigate it in the blink of an eye. And that's the benefit of dissociating around an issue.
After I'm done disassociating, I come back and all I can tell the person that I've hurt is, I'm sorry. This person is so tired of hearing me say I'm sorry. Is that all you got? I'm sorry. When are you going to change? That's the exact same thing when I was a kid. My mother would say, eres una inútil. You know, you're never going to amount to anything. Why can't you
Oh.
walk right? Why are you always hitting yourself on the wall? Why this? Why not this? And it got to the point where I was like, I would run away.
It's
She
very
couldn't, she
unfortunate.
couldn't. Yeah. And, I was thrown forks and, la chancla, like they say, the belt. And,
Atlas?
yeah, so it's like, I really don't know what to do when I come back from my fucking 10,000 altars, whatever it is. Right now I have 15 altars that I know of. Other than, I'm sorry, like really sorry. And it is a very profound, deep hurt and pain. My heart breaks. And it's like, I wish the person can see that my heart is breaking, because it's like, I didn't mean to like be a bitch or the Hulk. I didn't know that I had a Hulk until I was in the police academy and I made a sergeant bleed and they stopped the fight, but he kicked me on the knee and I went down and I got up again and I'm like, let's go. And so when I did graduate, become an officer on patrol, they're like, you don't want the Hulk to come out on this girl. Like, don't piss her off, And it's like, at first it would get me upset. It's like, goddamn, like I'm a monster.
It takes time to work through the emotions. I put something on my wall tonight before we started about that you have to allow yourself the time to deal with it. This is not something that is easy to live with, and you have to mourn the idea that you were normal, because most of us thought we were normal until we were slapped upside the head with the symptoms we're not.
Yeah.
I used to think I was completely normal, and I got slapped up with telepathy, and I got slapped up with anytime I got mad, the electronics fried, and I got slapped up with shifting altars, and I thought I'd been a pretty good mom, and all three of my boys say I'm not, and it's I went, to my credit, I was a better mom than my mom was.
Yeah.
And my father was one of those that I wasn't worth the bullet to shoot me with, is what he always maintained. But you have to accept in your heart that whatever you thought was normal, you're not.
Exactly.
And you have to come to terms with that. And that involves mourning that idea of being normal. And most of us haven't done that work. And that's what keeps creeping up on me is I want to be normal.
Yeah, normal is a societal wrong. Like, what is normal? Like, how dare anybody define normal? Because we're so different from each other. What we're really learning is there is truly not this standard to exist. I've started playing with the idea of this 80-20%, right? So let's just say that each of our experiences, that 80% of our lives are pretty freaking similar, and we've seen the same crap, right? But 20% of our experiences are very personal and individualized to the point that we don't share them because they don't make sense. You and far between are bold enough to discuss their 20%. And I would like to see people be more emboldened to do that, because we all have our 20% that doesn't make sense to anybody. But a society doesn't really tolerate people discussing that. And I would like to welcome people to do that. And that's kind of what I'm doing on my channel, is to invite people to feel comfortable to whatever your odd 20% is. Bring it, just throw it out there, and let's see what's going on, because there has to be value to everybody's experience.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to do too, as part of my mission here too. It's unmasking yourself, unchaining your heart, because Only your truth, not the truth, but only your truth will set you free and help you to go on your journey individually, and will help you find those people. Like, I'm so grateful for you all, you know, that they're gonna find their family too. You know, I'm very grateful. I was so tired of being on Facebook with before my awakening, and then when I did finally have the awakening, I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of these dumb memes that don't mean anything. It's just a play on your subconscious. What are you gonna believe? I want people that want to also share the truth with me, that are open-minded, that want to change themselves, that want to heal themselves, that want to save themselves, because there is no savior, like I always say. So I feel that once people let go and let themselves feel, there are many ways to heal. My journey right now, it's been a lot to do with losing the weight. It's not easy, and it's painful. I was on morphine, oxycodone 2 years ago, you know, on psych meds, sleep meds, PTSD meds, heart meds. And I finally said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with being controlled. I want to heal myself. I want to see how far I can get. And I'm still working on it. So it takes courage.
It takes more than just courage. It takes determination and stamina.
Yeah. And a vision.
I have lost between 60 and 100 pounds 5 times in my life. And I would have some injury or illness that would lay me up long enough to gain it back. And this last time that it hit, I just
Was it the shoulder when they broke your shoulder?
The shoulder was the last thing. I still haven't come back enough to be able to dress myself on a regular basis. And I've lost, I think it's 10 pounds since last summer, and it's been very slow. Each time you lose weight, your metabolism slows down and it gets harder to lose the weight. And at this point, the steroids that keep it where I can walk make me gain weight. And so I'm like, you know, I think at this point, it's more important that I be able to walk and not worry so much about the weight.
Yeah. And if the epidurals are helping you, go for it. But they were just not helping me. I was just becoming paralyzed. And I finally, like 2 months ago, I finally gave away my walker, the cane, and the crutches. Because I'm like, if I keep looking at this shit, I'm going to be thinking, oh, when will I need it? No, F that. No, it's like I'd rather have somebody use it.
I don't have crutch. Well, I do in storage where I don't have to see them. I have crutches in storage because I've fallen on the stairs and broke my ankle.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what they were for, and I haven't used them in over a decade. I don't have a walker. I don't have a wheelchair. I do have a cane with those little feet on it.
Yeah. They're so cute.
I don't have to use it inside, but sometimes I have to use it outside. Or if I'm like, if I travel and then do something. Like the last conference I went to, I brought it. Yeah. But there were so many healers who gave me such grief that I couldn't use it because they were so convinced. And so I ended up sitting a lot where I would have been walking if they had just left me alone.
Yeah. I wish people would respect, what they call that? The word.
Right to say no.
The will, right? The will. What we were going to talk about too, free will. Well, we did talk about that. Yeah. And karma.
I mean,
I've always argued against the golden rule.
Right? Do unto others as you would do unto yourself?
Right, exactly. That's terrible. That's the most selfish thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it is.
Presumes that everybody
unto
wants what you want.
Do unto others what they want done.
Right. Learn
Exactly.
to love somebody enough to figure out what is actually best for them by their definition. And if you can support them in that and provide that for them, then you're a good person. Don't
Right, but if
selfishly
not-
think that they want what you want.
Yep.
Yeah, because they don't.
Right. They certainly don't. Like, yeah, good luck with the golden rule. Try applying that one and see how well it works out for you.
Well, I've been I've been sick in one way or another since 1982, and I have a mix of things that are standard medicine and alternative medicine, and between them I usually do pretty well, or I did until I hurt my back at work, and that part of my back has healed, but the other parts got worse. So it's a combination of things, and I would love if something would actually fix it. But all of taking herbals for 3 bones in inserting themselves into my spinal cord is not going to work. That was what they wanted me to do at the conference, was these pills for my back, and they were herbals, and 2 of the herbs in it I was allergic to and knew it, and they would not take no for an answer.
That's just not right. That's being bullied.
Exactly. And I'm not New Age, mostly because when my Christianity fell away, I was embraced by the New Age movement, and they bullied me. And at that point, I'm like, see ya.
Wouldn't want to be ya. I did the same thing too.
So, in my opinion, New Age is Christianity without Jesus. It's Christianity with Pleiadians instead of Jesus.
There you go.
And I don't want either one. I want something that's actually going to help me. Yeah. Not something that's going to keep me enslaved longer.
Jenny, do you want to talk about the real Ashtar from Shamani?
The real Ashtar from Shaman. There's
a fake one. And he's trying
There's
to contact
a major fake one, and people are falling for it on an ongoing and regular basis.
Yeah,
there
the
is
Ashtar command bullshit.
Ashtar command is bullshit. Yes, there is a real Ishtar with an I.
Yes.
Command, and Ishtar was the Sumerian goddess of sex, fertility. And Ishtar is an Anunnaki of the race that calls themselves Jahami. And they are the race who created humanity as a slave race. Mm-hmm. And so when her husband was killed by his brother, she went batshit. And she killed human males for the next 10,000 years. And now she has her own command out in space. And she's not any nicer than she was then. And yet, we have all these people talking about Ashtar command, and it's her command. They're just seeing a blonde male instead of her, and I'm like, of all the things the CIA could put into people's heads, they chose that. And I put it that way because the CIA has a program, and it goes by several names. It was originally called Voice of God Tech, then it was Voice to Skull. Now it's mostly known as either synthetic telepathy or V2K. And what it is you have specific messages being sent out over a Wi-Fi carrier, and they connect to the bones in your inner ear, and they can adjust it to your specific frequency, or they can widen it, it'll hit more people. And that's how you have people who are hearing voices. So you've got
The
people.
hive mind too, right? That's how they create a hive mind as well, through AI, right?
That's how they create a hive mind. When they first had these programs out, there was a human being on the other end.
Right.
And somewhere in the 90s, they switched over to computers. And now there are no human beings on the other end. It's all computer generated. And so you've got this computer is talking to people, and they think they're channeling, and they think they're hearing Ashtar command, and they think they're hearing this, and they're seeing that, and it's all V2K. And I have a EMF blocker cap that I wear when I'm not on camera, because I don't want to listen to the CIA.
I have one.
I believe you bought one.
Yeah, I heard you talk about it on a show. Oh, it's in the bathroom right now. Yeah, I usually
mine's in the bathroom. I took it off to take my shower and never snagged it again. But yeah.
It helped.
Yes, I'm clean for your show.
Thank you. Are you wearing deodorant? No, just kidding.
Not that we have smell-o-vision, but you know.
I usually spray myself with perfume before coming on the show. Scratch and sniff in the future. Coming near you.
I'm way up in Alaska, so if I can smell you guys, you got problems.
Odin, are you listening to us?
Odin's probably icing his ankle. Poor guy, man.
Oh, I know Odin is icing his ankle. He hurt himself last night, and he should be at the VA instead of on air.
Yeah, because the VA is known for giving out really great medical care.
Well, they're known for giving out pain meds, and seeing how bad his ankle looked, I think pain meds are probably appropriate at this point.
I think so too. Oh, they're probably going to give you so much pain meds you can sell them on the street and go get real medical care.
I wish I could get medical care from the VA, but no, the Clinton bombed the Oklahoma building, and when I went to go get my VA thing, I have an honorable discharge, 9192, Army Reserve, no benefits.
Damn.
Why no benefits? You should have a DD-214, and that should guarantee it.
Oh, with the DD-214,
they said
still
I
can
needed
deny
to serve 25 more days. I'm like, dudes, I served a little over 2 years. Bullshit. So if anybody out there is an advocate, call me.
There you go.
Is anybody gonna call our show? Anyone? Bueller?
I don't know, but technically I do have to go. I can't be here forever. Although it was a great conversation.
Thank you.
I would have to bail if it goes any longer.
Okay.
But if there's any callers sitting there, I mean, I don't want to dodge people either. But it's just I need to go at some point.
Bueller. Bueller. Bueller.
10-4, roger that. Thank you, Eric, so much for being on.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me on your premiere episode. And I look forward to many more of them here on the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. And I'm glad that everybody's getting stuff connected. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I actually need to go soon too. It's past dinner time here.
I have to go to the restroom again. So
that's where I snuck to before.
Yes. Well, I love you all. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Odin. Thank you, listeners. And please subscribe, like, share. And if you have a little extra, you can donate to anybody you'd wish. Thank you so much for tonight. Love you all.
There you go, everybody.